the Amazing Women Speak podcast, inspiring and motivating every Black woman to own, honor, and execute her amazing, individually and collectively, as it was established at birth.
Greetings, 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 and happy Sunday. I'm Crystal Gunn, and welcome to another episode of Amazing Women Speak. And do me a favor, while you're getting settled for this show, please hit the share button and share Amazing Women Speak so your friends and followers can get in on this conversation. And it's going to be another good one today. And so we often hear the term work-life balance and the importance of it. And Forbes did an article giving two definitions of work-life balance. The first one, the convenience of being able to manage a personal life during the workday without the hassle of having to get permission or explain our activities to others. And the second one in that article was to give equal time or priority to personal and professional activities. And I was not a fan of that last one. But then I looked up the definition of balance, just the word balance by itself. And there was one I really liked: to keep or put something in a steady position so that it does not fall. And with all of the titles we wear, mother, daughter, wife, CEO, manager, entrepreneur, doctor, lawyer, friend, how do you keep yourself in a steady position so that you don't fall, so that you don't fail, so that you can continue to own, honor, execute your amazing with grace? Is it even possible? Let's talk about it today. The balancing act, finding harmony in a chaotic world. Miss Davenport Harper, come on in here.
Hey.
Let's get this thing going.
Absolutely. Conversation that is much needed. As you were just listing off all of the hats, right? Like we didn't even exhaust the list. And so that conversation around balance is really important. So I'm so very grateful to be able to share this platform with you once again, where we get to hear from amazing women, dive deep into some amazing conversations, and come out a little bit more whole than when the conversation started. So thank you for creating space for me to share this platform with you once again. But we don't have this conversation in a silo. Let's introduce these women and get this conversation going, because you know this is the fastest hour of your day. Whatever platform you are joining us from, we invite you to be a part of the conversation. Drop your questions, drop your comments in the chat. We love to pull them in to hear your voice as we have this important conversation tonight. Let's bring in our guests so that we can find out who is with us to help us dive into this conversation. Dr. Anita, come in and introduce yourself.
Hi, everybody. Hello there. I'm so happy to be here. I really am. Thank you, Crystal. Thank you, Michele. Yes, I'm Dr. Anita. And first and foremost, I'm a mom and a grandmom, and I am a metaphysical educator. Metaphysical educator, advocate, rare disease, Michigan unemployment, and a human rights consultant. And spoken word artist and poet and author.
When we talk about that, when we talk about the things that we do and carry, thank you for joining us. Love to hear more about what it is you do and the gifts that you bring and how they can help us in this journey called life. Ms. Thompson, come on in and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Darnishous Thompson, and I'm the owner of Up by Darnishous. And I am a wife, a mother, and a grandmother. And I am so excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. Want to hear more about Dolled Up?
Sure.
Want to hear more about it. So yes. I always tell our listeners, guests, this is the fastest hour of our day. We don't do anything in shallow waters because we just don't have time. We dive deep so that we can learn more about who you are, why this conversation was important to you, and the gifts and the talents that you bring to helping us unpack. How do we find balance in the midst of all of the roles that we carry? So I want to open up this conversation with always taking that step back. How did you discover that you were out of balance And in what role did you have to prioritize yourself to bring some balance back in? Darnishous?
I think when I realized I was out of balance was trying to juggle both my career as well as home life, being a grandmother, being a mother. And I had to take a step back and say, wait a minute, if I'm not good, everybody else isn't going to be good. So that's when I decided to take a look at, making sure I brought things back into balance.
So I want to take a step a little further, right? Because you think about being a grandmother. That's the role that all women who were mothers cherish, right? Because you get your do-over, you get your chance to really love differently, and grandkids love their nana, they love their grandma. So when you were trying to find that balance, right? Like there might have been a shift in even how you got to parent as a grandparent. What was that like for your grandchildren?
Well, my grandchildren, of course, my children are always like, you're the grandma, spend time with your grandkids.
Right.
But sometimes, you have to be able to say no. You have to be able to say no, that I'm not doing this, particularly if it's a last minute thing and you didn't tell me ahead of time. So my kids know it's like, okay, if you're going to do something, I need to know ahead of time because, I don't spend my life just being a grandmother. I have a life too. So being able to say no is, it's not a bad thing.
Yeah. So we'll come back to that, right? Because what I hear you saying is boundaries, right?
Boundaries.
And in order to find some balance, some boundaries have to happen. So we definitely want to come back to you and settle in that conversation a little bit more. Dr. Anita, tell us about it. When you found yourself out of balance, when you recognized that, what was present for you? And then what was the shift to begin to think about this, carrying it this way isn't going to work for you?
One, that's an excellent question. Thank you. And I'm thinking about that. For me, it came fairly early, you guys, because I was a single parent. And I have twins, beautiful twin girls. And during their raising, I had to really look at when things were helter-skelter, because they were helter-skelter a lot. We moved a lot and different things like that. Well, I had to establish a creed. And it wasn't until when I started selling Mary Kay. And they have this creed: God first, family second, and career third. And that just resonated with me. It stuck with me. And that's been my creed. My daughters are, well, they probably don't want to, they are
older.
They are moms and wives. Let me just say that. That creed, I learned that creed when they were in elementary school. And I just always kept that creed. And every time when I start to get a little out of balance, I'll think, no, God first, family second, career third. Especially when it comes with something like if I'm to do something, I've been invited to do something business. And it just happened recently that I was invited to go to New York in March. And then my daughters reminded me at that same time that we were doing something, and it's no brainer. I'm not going to New York. So because that's and I take my creed very seriously. So at that point, that's when things, in that area, because that's kind of a box thing, because we don't have life situations and all that kind of stuff. But that was my time and way of realizing, okay, I need to get this together.
Michele, I can feel you. I can feel you staring at me like I feel so exposed. But that's another thing that I'm gonna print out and put on the door, because that right there is what I needed to hear for trying to find that balance. Thanks, Dr. Anita, for that.
Yeah. Hats off to Mary Kay, right?
Sure.
This business, the third on that list. Knowing, again, all of the hats that women wear already, and to be able to be clear on what those priorities are. So I want to talk a little bit about the cost of imbalance, be it career, be it health, be it relationships, right? So it's usually we get to the tipping point or we have completely broke ourselves before we recognize I can't do one more thing, right? Like this is costing my health. This is costing me. What did this imbalance cost you? Darnisha? Darnisha?
So being imbalanced, I mean, it causes you a lot of frustration, sometimes depression, because you're not able to do the things that you thought you were able to do. It creates overload, burnout. I've experienced the burnout in trying to work long hours and then come home and do my business, take my grandkids to school. So it was just a balance of finding, myself, and that point where you get to the point where you have to slow down and you have to pull things back in order to find that balance.
So, right, we're told that we have to be twice as good, do twice as much. How, Dr. Anita, do I not own failure when I recognize that I have too much and that my balance is off? How do I acknowledge that? How do I deal with that it's not failure?
It's not failure, because now I'm speaking as a metaphysician.
Please.
It's not failure because we are always going to express our dominant belief. And whatever our dominant belief is, it's like if I take a test and I say, I'm going to pass that test right up my frontal lobe, boys, right up in my frontal cortex, right up here, my consciousness. I'm going to pass that test. I'm going to pass that test. I'm going to pass that test. I take the test and fail it. And in the back of my mind, I said, I knew I wasn't going to fail that test. I succeeded in not failing the test because it was my dominant belief. And one thing I really think that I'm learning, this is new for me, because this is life. Because life is all in us, and it's all this journey kind of thing. And I'm learning that one of the things that to be balanced is I've got to monitor what I really believe in, because for me, we're always manifesting everything that we believe in. Our behavior, what we demonstrate, everything that we do shows what we believe. And I found out recently, for me, that there's a lot of belief that I really didn't pay attention to, and even when I manifested, I wasn't putting two and two together, saying, "Wait a minute, this was your belief. You need to up the game on your belief and change what you're believing." Because we always say, have faith and this and that, but we got to watch, what do we have faith in?
You said really everything we do shows our belief.
Absolutely.
We need to let that sit there for a minute.
Okay.
Right? Like that's a lot. When you just I started thinking about my behaviors. What have I been doing lately? And felt like a little bit of an indictment on myself, right? If it is, right? Like, so I have to own that part of it. So to be able to name that is such a powerful tool. Like if I remembered that the things that I'm doing are a demonstration of, I will pay more attention to my do.
Yeah. I just created these, I have wristbands, because for me, that's just so important. And I wear mine every day, and it says manifestation is in the belief. And I have, because after a while, it's like, I'm tired of manifesting things I don't want.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. So you said a lot there. Right? Like, and so when we go back to thinking about all of the things that we do, all of the ways as Black women, we've been socialized that we can do all of the things, right? And so we can, I see you shaking your head already, right? Like not possible, right? Darnishous, like it's just not so.
Possible.
Why is that resonating with you so much in that moment?
No, because I think we try so hard to be superwomen and do it all. And it's not possible because in doing it all, something is going to be depleted. And so it might be your health, it might be physical, mental. So we have to learn how to pull back and put some good things in us that will help us to be able to do those things that we want to do for family, for ourselves.
Right, like oftentimes our guests, right, like they're somewhere in the journey, right? And we invite our guest on and they've gone through parts of it or they're further along in their journey. And so they can talk about how they got to a place or how they're doing the work. But often our listeners are still right at the beginning,
Yeah.
right? And they're trying to figure it out. What advice would you offer for someone who's recognizing, right, like that there's this imbalance, something is not right, I'm not able to prioritize, but I don't want to be considered a failure. I need to show up for all of these people, right? Like all of the things, all of the pressures. As you think about how you got through that part or how you're getting through that part, what to both of you would you offer to our listeners?
I think for me is realizing that unless I'm good, I can't spread it out to everybody else. If my cup is empty, I have nothing to pour into yours. So I have to make sure that my cup stays full so that I can pour into you.
So tell me how you recognized an empty cup, right? Because all of us, oftentimes, we continue to try to pour and don't recognize empty. How did you recognize an empty cup?
I think when I'm feeling overwhelmed, then I know my cup is empty. When I'm feeling like I can't push to that next level, that I have nothing else to give to anybody else, that I can't give the love and the support that I want to give because I'm just depleted. And so when I start to feel that way, that's when I know it's time to fill my cup up first so that I can spread it out to other people.
Thank you for sharing that, right? And I asked you to name those things because oftentimes, like, oh, if I just get a good night's sleep, I'll be good, right? Like I can go back at it. So I appreciate you acknowledging those things and naming them up for us because it doesn't just pass if you don't pay attention to it. Dr. Anita, what do you have to offer us?
Yeah, I was thinking, boy, you guys, these questions.
Deep questions.
And I even started to feel because I remember so many times, and not that long ago, I remember so many times feeling embarrassed. I remember so many times feeling less than because I wasn't satisfied with the way I may have said something or performed something. And I remember, like I said, not that long ago, but the years of crying, feeling ashamed because of one thing or another, only to realize that, hey, what I was doing was making sure that others were pleased with me.
Mm.
And that, of course, was a catastrophe throughout my life. As a fact, one of the reasons why I wear my hair shaven is because one day I looked in the mirror and I said, "You don't conform," so I shaved my head because I said, "No, I'm starting. I'm living a life for other people, and I don't know who I am now because I wouldn't be ashamed, because it's all about self-acceptance. Whoever I am, whatever I do, just like the other day, I was sharing with my grandson, something had happened, something with some grades, and he was ducking and dodging me. And when we got in the car, and I said, "Granny, don't you ever duck and dodge. If you man enough not to do something, you man enough to stand up. Don't you duck and dodge nobody. You need to own it." And that's what I had to learn, to own it. Just own it.
Wow. I love that.
She said, just own it. That's. I often, and I think I even heard Michele say this at a conference one time, that it's the negative. Our mind is trained to go to the negative first.
Mm.
So we have to repeatedly go back and change those thoughts. When you have that negative thought, you have to replace that thing with something good. So when we're beating up on ourselves, we got to take that step back and say, hold on, I am dope. I am dynamic. I am amazing, in order to refocus and to go back to claim that amazing. Because if we don't, we'll stay in that hole and we'll continue to beat ourselves up. And we can be, unfortunately, our own biggest critics.
Yeah, right. Like society has told us, like I said, we have to go twice as hard, do twice as much, and failure is not an option. And so the balance is to add more versus take something away, because of the ways that we've been socialized and because of the ways that Black women have been conditioned. And these conversations about changing that narrative, right? Like it does. It takes multiple positive affirmations to disrupt one negative thought, not just one for one.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Not just one for one. And so would love to hear some tools and resources on when you're in the moment, right? Like you're stuck in the moment. How do you flip that switch? Nope, I take that back, right? Like switches are quick. How do we change the dimmer on it? Right? Because it's not an overnight thing. How do we change the dimmer on the conversations that we're having with ourselves that says, I have to keep adding more?
I don't, for me, I don't know if I have to add more, just recently, our family, has gone through like a transition of a very dynamic thing. And it just questions the very foundation of my faith. And I'm still in the midst of it. Me and God still talking. We really are. I mean, I'm just being real with it. But one thing that I'm getting out of it, and it has helped me, when situations come to me, the first thing I'm learning is I say it's not the thing, it's how I look at it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I do that, I'm not changing the thing, I'm changing how I look at it, kind of thing. And that has really, really helped me, because as these dynamics, as I met with these dynamics, because then I'll ask, I said, okay, how can I look at this differently? How can I not change the circumstance? Because again, it's not the thing. I'm concentrating on the thing. I've got to concentrate how I perceive it. Because if I see something that like it may, like say there's a storm in the night, someone may, if I look at it and say, oh my God, the storm is just, it's terrible. Okay, that's my perception. I can also say, oh, look at that. Oh, I love the sound of thunder. Listen to God talk. It's how I look at it. And that's how it's, because change, the things come from the inside. On the outside, you know what I mean? It's just like we don't change our behavior. We may say, okay, I got to change my behavior. But when you break it down, we ain't changing behavior, we were changing thought. Because the behavior comes after the thought, and not vice versa. So
Yeah.
for me,
No, and that's powerful. It's the retraining part of it, right? Because again, you think about all the ways we have been conditioned to show up in the natural order of things. To do something that feels unnatural takes work.
Yeah.
And that I work, we've talked about it on many shows, the importance of being able to reflect, being able to stand in front of the mirror and acknowledge those things. And how I view a thing, that's so powerful, Dr. Anita. How I view a thing can literally change what I do next. how I think next. And I really love that. It's hard to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to disrupt those patterns, even when we know the way that we're currently doing it is not working for us. It's increasing the chaos in our lives, right? Like to live in something and still stay in it that's not working for us is the plight of Black women far too often. Far too often.
And our body gives us those signals though. So when you talk about being able to change it, your body's going to give you a signal. However, again, we've been conditioned to not pay attention to our bodies.
Yeah.
Right. So you're gonna get that feeling, and then you have to sit in that feeling. I think we're constantly running from things as well, right? Because it is hard to go back and change. But if you sit in those feelings and say, okay, there's a reason, and let me go back and look at that. And it's not going to be overnight. It's going back and addressing it time and time and time again until you look up and that thing, okay, well, now I recognize the good in everything when I didn't recognize the good in everything before. But it becomes a constant elevation on your part in recognition. And to talk about that failure thing, right? We've been conditioned again to not want to fail, but go back to how you look at it.
Right.
Failure says, okay, well, I'm not going to do that again. So I figured that out, and now I got a better way to do it. And so now that's one less failure that I'm going to have in this thing. So going back and changing the way you look at the thing. Come on, let me fail at this, because failing it, I'm failing forward. Always. I'm failing forward and I'm getting better at the things. And Lord knows I have failed forward many times.
Right. So we need to come back to that conversation, circles back nicely to talking about boundaries, because in order to do that work, you have to create some proper boundaries in order to be able to be in the space to do that, right? And so the other hats that all the hats that we wear them because they have meaning and value to our lives, right? Our grandkids, our significant others, our jobs, they have value. So Darnishous, when you were talking about, right, like centering yourself, and I sounded like the boundaries conversation. Yeah. How does that happen when all of the other things mean, right? Like you brought them into your life, you created space for them because they have value. How do those boundaries get built in that space?
Yeah, I think boundaries are so important in being able to acknowledge and say no when you're feeling that you should say no, and saying yes when you feel like you should say yes. I mean, it creates boundaries, and then people understand that you have to set some boundaries, that you have to say no for your betterment, for your mental health, for your growth. And sometimes it's a hard thing to do, but I mean, it's something that's necessary sometimes.
Right, because in the beginning, it can feel very selfish when people have been used to being able to rely on you and you show up and you stress.
Yes, and I think we tend to beat ourselves up, when we say no, because we've been conditioned and taught that, you're selfish if you do this. For me, I was brought up in a Christian household, and everything just seemed like it had to be like so perfect and so, Christian like, that saying no was a bad thing. Well, no, saying no is not a bad thing, and it's not a selfish thing. It's a thing that can help you to actually not burn out and to continue to be able to go on if you learn how to say no. But you can say it in love. No, but you can say it in love. It doesn't
feel like love to the receiver, right?
Yeah, right. But it doesn't have to be a mean thing. It just has to be, a thing that you say. You can say it in love, but it has to be said sometimes.
Yeah, and oftentimes, right, like our no gives somebody else the opportunity to find their yes, or like to discover they had it in them to do that thing without you.
Without
And so
you.
they
Yes.
get stronger in that. Yeah.
Yes.
Toss out some no's every now and then and watch a thing work itself out.
Exactly.
It'll empower you to say no a little more often, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. I can really appreciate that.
We've experienced that in our lives. You know, somebody said no, we figured it out. And we came out on the other side a better person for it, you know, because we were able to figure it out and we conquered whatever it was.
So in a world that is so chaotic, how do you find acceptance, comfort in silence? Right? Like we're so used to things going. Our minds are always racing. Everything in front of us is quick, fast. Technology is fast. How do you find the okay in silence? To push away the chaos of the world, to be able to center yourself, to be able to find boundaries, to be able to be in tune with what's happening in your thoughts. How do we find the okay of silence? Dr. Anita?
You know, to find, how do we find it? Is first we've got to embrace that we accept our thoughts, because a lot of us run away from them. So we're not going to be sitting in no silence because we're running away.
Don't call me out, Doc. Right, don't do that. Right, don't do that.
And I'm only speaking from experience. I'm just speaking from my life. I mean, running away. I mean, and that's the first thing that we have to do is accept and say, okay, I'm good with the shadows. You know what I mean? And see, we're taught to be positive, think positive, think positive. Thinking is a doing. Being, if I have to always think positive, one, that's not realistic because everything is not always positive. And then once I get to the point where I acknowledge, I have jealousies, I have shadow thoughts, I have this, but you know what? I love me and I love those thoughts. And what I'm gonna do is learn how to be disciplined in accepting those thoughts, but not letting them control me. Saying, okay, I have these, but I have the power and the wherewithal to minimize them or just not give it power. That's the first thing. Because once we acknowledge this, once we embrace, okay, I am who I am. This is it. This is me. Then we can step into, okay, I need to get into that silence. And that's where the discipline and the focus is just gonna come. There's no other way. You're gonna have to have discipline to do that. So you're gonna have to do like that type of work before you have to do the superficial work, if you will, before you can get into the deepness of it. It's not going to happen if you don't. So that's just, that's really the process. And it's not a hard thing, but it is a conviction. You got to be committed. And you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Because we were taught, just like the no's, every time we say a no, we always put something, no, because. Kind of, every now and then we may say yes, because. But usually when someone says, you say, did you go to the store? Yes. Did you go to the store? No, because I didn't get a chance to go.
Right.
And we weren't born that way. And I was just thinking about that no, and I was sharing with my daughter, my granddaughter, my youngest granddaughter. She has never had a problem with saying no. And I showed my daughter. I said, baby, make sure she keeps that. Make sure she. I said, because so many of us have issues with saying no. When I'm consulting before representing claimants with the Michigan Unemployment Appeal, I share with them. I said, any question that you can answer yes or no to, just do that. Just say yes or no. I think we tend to have begun to think that, okay, if I say no, we've used it as, okay, that's a destructive negative. So now I got to justify why I'm saying no, when actually no is a complete sentence. It's not good, it's bad, it's just no. Mm-hmm. And we've got to get used, get to that way of thinking that no just means no. Just like yes. I can say no.
I love to know with a smile. Like
right.
Right, Darnishous said you can say it in love.
Yeah.
it in love.
Absolutely say it in love. You said something that just really struck me, Doc, right? Like the things that we give power to. And so often we give power to things that do not serve us, and we do it anyway.
Yeah.
We create our own chaos that way and don't know how to pull ourselves out. So we'll busy ourselves with another thing, right? Until it festers in a way that it further doesn't serve us. We'll talk about how do we break these kind of patterns, because the world we already live in all by itself is chaotic.
Right.
And if we continue to give power to the things that don't serve us, we're adding to, right? That causes us to be in constant imbalance to the point where that imbalance feels normal,
Yeah.
right? Like chaos is all you know.
Mhm.
And then part of this, right? Like I'm speaking to myself, like shutting my brain off
Mhm.
is challenging for me. Thoughts are constantly running, right? Because I'm giving power to things that aren't serving me when what my mind needs is rest.
Yeah.
How do we begin to break those cycles?
You know, just again, like from my life, the first thing that I had to learn and still learn that I'm responsible. I'm responsible. That's difficult. That was a hard pill to swallow for me because then I can't put it out on this or that or the other. So I got so much. I have so much stuff to do now. You know, I brought on so many things. Well, okay, I brought on so many things because I'm responsible. I brought them. I brought them. And being in that, that's a comfort zone too. So that because if we're in the midst of chaos, that means outside of here, really chaos is in here, but out here we see chaos, and it can be kind of comforting. Like, look what's going on. This is going on outside of me. This I have no control over this. That's easy. Then to step up and say, wait a minute, I'm responsible for every chaotic thing going on around here.
Mm,
I got to step up and up the game on my womanhood and the power the amazing that I am. Because we're co-creators. That's one thing
Mhm.
we have the choice. That's our power. What choice? What once you choose? I heard something today in a song. I said that's so beautiful. That once you once you make the choice, then express your voice. Then do it. But that's what we have to. I mean, we have to just own up and say, you know what? I'm responsible. I don't want this. And my thing is no. And my thing is tell yourself the truth. Because if you want the drama, admit it.
mm,
Say, okay, I want to be in the drama.
Oh.
I mean, you know what I mean? Because sometimes, like when I'm having thoughts, I may have these shadow thoughts, and I'll stand back and listen. I want to sit here for a minute. I want to entertain this, because this is what I want to do. Now I don't stay there, but I make that choice. I don't stay there long because I know, the power of manifestation. So, but that's just being true. That's just it's that we have this. The word now is being authentic. Well, being authentic. If you really are being authentic, then and if you understand that you're amazing, and you are all this in a bag of chips, which you are, then you're also responsible. Also responsible. So whatever that is created on the outside of here it's that, like I said, that giving birth. It's like wherever I see anything that doesn't serve me well, then okay, because I brought it, because and I'm not saying the thing in and of itself, I'm talking about the vibration of the thing. Because I brought that vibration, one, okay, let me see
mm.
what is the lessons that I'm supposed to learn in it. And that's another thing because it's always a lesson. And it's what they say, that blessing. And again, it just depends on how we look at it. So when there's a challenge and we're in this chaotic world kind of thing, then we have to look and just real quick, just recently, I'm in this class and we're having to develop the marketing message. I mean, I've been, studying this, going here, going, looking at the internet, researching this, researching that. And then it dawned on me. I said, wait a minute. Now I'm of the world. I done got of the world. I done stepped in and been of the world now. So I had to take myself. I said, no, I want to be in the world. And when I did that, I removed myself from the chaos that I created in trying to figure this stuff out. Then no, I'm not of the world. I'm in it. And then when I removed it, said I'm in it. Now let me think, meaning, okay, get your thoughts together. What do you think this is? Your choice. And it's starting to materialize now because I've stepped out of being of this world. You know what I mean? I'm still recognizing that things happen, but I don't have to be of it. I don't have to be a participant. And that's the one that just taught me. Just what is this, Sunday? Maybe Wednesday. It just dawned on me. I said, wait a minute. You love this like a plate. Ooh, wee, you just stepped in. Driving myself crazy.
I love it. Right, like when those moments come and they come so clear, right? Like that you can acknowledge and recognize this is the moment that particular learning took place is a beautiful thing. It's so freeing because ultimately what we're trying to achieve here, right? Like is that harmony, that balance. So Darnishous, when I talk about harmony, right? What does that mean to you? And you get the best of me when? In harmony, you get the best, we get the best of you when?
When I'm balanced, when I'm at peace, when I'm not. One thing I just learned, and when Anita was talking about your mind racing, I noticed that I was racing to do this, create content, get merchandise made, get put things on my website. And I had to slow down for a minute, get orders out, slow down for a minute and take a look, because you get so bogged down in trying to accomplish the next thing and the next thing and the next thing that you don't take time to be grateful and thankful and celebrate your wins. Celebrate, even if it's the smallest thing, celebrate it, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference in getting to that next level. If you never acknowledge and celebrate, the smallest things, you stay in that rut trying to chase whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish, and not patting yourself on the back and saying, I did a good job with that, whether it's big or small.
Right. I love that. I absolutely love that. And we should all be defining ourselves to ensure that folks get the best of us when. And if other folks are working to create that they can get the best of you, right? Like it's the win, and acknowledging all of the things that you do. I want to know about Dolled Up.
Sure, I'm happy to tell you about Dolled Up. Well, Dolled Up is something I created. Well, it started with my grandmother. My grandmother was a person who would dress as she went to church, and I would see how confident she was. And so my grandmother's name is actually Darnishous, and her nickname was also Doll. So that's thereby is how I created the company called Dolled Up by Darnishous as a memory to her. And so Dolled Up creates and sells fabulous handcrafted accessories that helps you to stand out in the crowd, and we empower you to feel confident through style. And so the gist behind it is mainly for women, so that they can feel confident in themselves, so that they can feel like they can stand out in the crowd, and not be ashamed to stand out in the crowd, and be proud of who they are as an individual. So that's what it's about.
I love that. In a world where we've been told to blend in,
we get to stand out.
I absolutely love that. The reminder that we have a right to.
We have
there's
a right.
no need to blend in. That there's this about, right? Like the other thing around having this feminine energy like whatever your energy looks like, that you get to own that. And you get to be dolled up in the process. Grandma would be proud. I love that. Love that. Thank you.
Yes.
So tap into you movement.
Yes. Yes, Tap Into You movement is all about, thank you for asking to. Tap Into You movement is all about getting inside of you. Okay, and in that movement, I'm a metaphysical doctor. I've been practicing metaphysics since the 80s.
Doc, tell folks
And
what that means.
metaphysics, yeah, that's just meta, going beyond the physical, meaning going deeper inside of yourself. It's a connection. It's really it's the study of how we're connected with the universe, how we're connected with nature, and how we're connected with each other, and our limited knowledge on how we're connected with nature and the cosmos and each other. So what I do as a metaphysical educator, I show people who are interested, whoever's interested in wanting to deepen their self-awareness and their spiritual journey, whatever that is, I just help them, and that's to find that clarity, you know what I mean, and that connection with that higher, whatever you call that, God, the higher power, the higher self, whatever, who's interested in that. And I do that by my Tap Into You energy principle model. So I have a model that I use.
How can folks find you? I need to tap in.
Yeah, right. Email at tapintoyou@gmail.com. That's TAP, the letter N, the number 2, YOU@gmail.com. Or you can call me. I'm old school. So I love a call. And that's 313-605-8220. Or you can even go to my website, because I have different things on my website, www.anitacpowell.org. I have my poetry on there. And being an energy poet, that's all. I always talk about the energy and different things like that. And I have classes, online classes on there. There's a membership that you can, all the classes that are listed as on just as the regular website. If you join the membership, they're free. So I have like physical, like the Beatitude, a lecture on that. The 40-day prosperity program. Right now, I'm working on uploading. It's a 29-day energy body meditation technique. And I would encourage, like when we have our busy mind, because I had stopped meditating because with this, I'm telling you that the thing with the family, I'm telling you, it top disturbs me. I had stopped meditating because it made me frightened. Where now, now I'm stepping back in, and I can share, Michele, like if you want to start to still your mind, start with guided and visual meditation, because that guided and visual meditation will help you, steer you, and then at some point, then you won't need the guided and visual because you've gone past the busyness of the mind. Yeah,
I love that. Thank you. Because we're always in the need to prove it state in all of the spaces that we're in, right? Like to know that I'm my greatest gift and also my biggest challenge, all in the same space. Like, what do you do with that? Yeah. And to hold that, right? The blessing and the curse of that, we like the fear of understanding that there's something greater outside of ourselves that will help us reach our fullest potential. Like it's a lot. So I invite our listeners to go tap in so that you can understand how important it is to be dolled up.
And I testify. I mean, Darnishous has some beautiful pieces, powerful pieces. I'm a fan.
Thank you. Not only that, we have a event called Mirrored Reflections of You, and Anita has been a speaker, and she's done her spoken word. It is where it's sort of like a painting with a twist, but it's with beads, blings, and mirrors and words of affirmation. So women get a chance to connect with one another and create their own affirmation mirrors, as well as have a speaker or a life coach. And of course, Anita has been there to do spoken word to the ladies as they created their affirmation mirrors.
That is so
Cool.
powerful. 10 times better than painting with a twist.
Yes,
Right?
10 times.
There is so much
absolutely.
fear. There is so much fear in evaluating the person standing in the mirror.
Oh,
There
for
is
sure.
fear. The truth to get to that authentic place that you talked about, Doc, like that's the hard work. And we shy away from it. And we would rather paint somebody else's vision, painting with the twist, than to stand in the mirror and create positive affirmations that's going to change your life. I absolutely love that. And I claim your brick and mortar in the future to offer a dedicated
Amen.
space for women to come and do that. That's
Amen.
powerful. That is absolutely powerful. So
Amen.
how can folks find Dolled Up?
Well, you can find me on Facebook at Dolled Up Jewelry, and as well as Instagram at Dolled Up by Darnishous. And I do have a website. It is dolledupjewelry.com.
Awesome. So what kind of things? Is it just jewelry, or will we find purses, hats?
It is jewelry. You will find hats. You will also find they're called face pots. You'll also find face pots, and I also do something called Afro wreaths for the holiday seasons. Yep. So, and then you can also go on there and book my events as well, Mirrored Reflections of You events.
What state do you sit in?
I am in Detroit, Michigan.
Oh, you're in Michigan.
Yes.
Okay. Because we have guests from all over the country.
Oh, yes. I'm in Michigan.
So yeah, awesome. So yeah, I'm going to be looking for that. That's incredible.
Yeah, I will have one coming up in March the 9th for Women's Month, National Women's Month. So yeah, I'll be posting it.
What's a face pop?
It's a thing. Oh,
yeah, show me. I know you got it back there.
Oh, she's neat.
Cute. That.
yeah.
Love that.
Okay.
They come with wraps and their own individual accessories, and you can put succulents in them.
Cute.
And they're a fan favorite for Mother's Day. So
Very cute.
So cool.
Very cute.
That is, I'm glad I asked, because that is not what I was thinking at all. Glad I asked. That's really cute.
So I told you all this is the fastest hour of the day. And as we begin to wind this down and we think about the importance of creating harmony, think about the importance of understanding what chaos is and its service. The thing that keeps coming back to me in this conversation and the things that the both of you have shared is this ideal around self-love. What does that mean to you, Doc?
Oh, that means self-acceptance, just loving, being in a space of love, loving me for who I am, what I am, the all of me, and yeah, that's it. Just the all of me, and knowing that I don't know everything about me.
Darnishous, self-love.
self-love just to me means being all that God created you to be and not being ashamed to be that, to be empowered, confident to be that.
I love that. Right? He designed you for purpose with a purpose, and denying that is denying the greatest gift that we can give ourselves. I absolutely love that. Thank you, ladies. This conversation has been important, if to no one else but me. Because of the hats and because of they also bring this thing around status, however you want to define status, right? Like being able to own, to be a boss, right? Like we are just inundated with all of those things. And the reminder of slowing down to find the kind of harmony that makes you better for whatever the things you choose next. Always like faith always comes up. Our belief in God and the power higher than us always comes up. We are faith-driven women, Crystal and I. We don't move without really consulting and thinking about the impact that God wants us to have, the footprint. And so as we think about harmony and we think about doing all of the things, ladies, please, listeners, the scripture that talks about I can do all things through Christ that strengthens me, that is not what he meant. He did not mean do all of the things, to wear all of the hats, all of the time. That is not what he meant. Find the balance, find your harmony. The world gets better when it gets the best of you win. And you should be able to answer that question for yourself and let those around you that love you know that they will get the best of you win, and be clear and convicted in the words that follow that statement. Crystal.
I love that.
So before I give my little last remarks, let me say, please find Amazing Women Speak on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter, LinkedIn, and Spotify. Whatever your favorite platform is, please like and subscribe, turn notifications on, and then go back and look at past episodes. Find the one or the ones that speak to your soul, watch them, and then be a blessing to somebody else and share those with someone else. Ladies, I appreciate you. It's so funny when I send out, guests requesting for people to choose their dates to be on a show. And it just, I don't know, it just always blows me away. I had no idea that you two knew each other. This keeps happening, the way that you know each other. And I love the way, because you're able to pick the topic that you want to show up on, that I love how you can add so much to it, and that you're authentic and transparent in your journey. Because I'm a true believer that we are here in this life for our own personal elevation. And that's not to be compared to anybody else's journey. So I thank you for sharing steps of your journey with us and our listeners. And I hope and pray that it has some impact on our listeners. But I want to leave everyone with this today. We are these super dope, incredible Black women, right? And we were given the power to manifest life. And so if you have that power, you definitely have the power to manifest change in your life. So tap into who you absolutely are as God created you at birth. You are amazing. Stand in that, on that. I am Crystal Gunn. I am a Black woman, and I absolutely own my amazing.
Yes, you do, my friend. So as I invite the two of you to give your final statements, if there was something that did not get said when this topic said, this is a conversation I want to have, please share that in your closing thoughts. I definitely want to make room for the reason why you said yes. And if that statement did not get asked and you didn't get a chance to make that, please do that as you do your final statements. Crystal Gunn, you truly are dope and amazing. Yes. And I'm grateful for the gift of you. I'm grateful that you continue to be obedient to the call that God has put on your life to create a space where amazing women can come and share their stories, and that we can grow together. And we get more amazing as a collective. We change the narrative about Black women, and we own that established at birth was our right to be that amazing. So I thank you. You continue to bless women who have never physically been in a room with you. And for that, you are to be applauded. As always, it is my honor to share this space with you, to be able to meet more amazing women. You all have been dynamic. I am grateful for your stories. I'm grateful for your gifts. Our listeners got better tonight. They got some tools, they got some resources, and they get an opportunity to get tapped into and to get dolled up. And for that, I am grateful. My name is Michele Harper. I am a Black woman, and always, without apology, I own my amazing. Darnishous.
Well, I thank you so much for the opportunity to be in the space with you amazing women. And I hope that everyone takes away a little piece of everything that they heard And I am Darnishous Thompson. I'm a Black woman, and I own my amazing.
Yes. Dr. Anita.
Like Darnishous, I'm so thankful and grateful to be on this platform with you guys, and I love you. I love you all. And the only, one thing I can say is that yes, there is a chaotic world, but you know what? There's also a world of peace. Mm-hmm. And what we need to do, all we have to do is choose in any given moment which world we want to express ourselves in, and that's all. And doing that, just knowing that we have the power to do this. And why? Because, well, one, my name is Dr. Anita, and I am a Black woman, and I own my own amazing. Just like I know you so beautiful sisters.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for joining us this evening. Thank you for all those who have tuned in and that tune in each and every week. Boy, this football thing. Next week, we will not be here because it is the Super Bowl. But we will definitely see you back in 2 weeks where our topic will be speaking volumes with silence, choosing discretion over defense. Mm-hmm. I knew you would like that one. So enjoy the rest of your night, ladies. We'll see you back in 2 weeks.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.